Welcome back, Tiger Sports fans, for another episode of Tiger Sports Nation. I'm your host, Katie Moore.
And I'm Henry Stribe, and we're going to get you caught up on Tiger Sports from this past week.
The DePauw football team clinched a share of the NCAC title on Saturday with their astounding 58-7 defeat over Kenyon. This is only the second time in program history that a DePauw football team has been 9-0. Quarterback Nathan McCahill completed 22 of 29 passes for 279 yards with 3 touchdowns. Robbie Ballantyne caught 7 passes for 142 yards and had 1 touchdown, and he was followed by Gabe Quigley, who had 45 receiving yards with 5 catches. The Tigers were led in rushing yards by Gus Baumgartner, who collected 88 yards and 1 touchdown. Brevin Good and Rylan Irvin each scored on the defensive side for the Tigers. Good recovered a fumble, and Irvin collected an interception. The defense was led by none other than Luke Marsh with 5 tackles, and the Tigers are now entering a bye week and will be gearing up to go to Wabash in 2 weeks for the Monon Bell game. The kickoff is scheduled for 1:07 p.m.
The women's soccer team earned a spot in the NCAC tournament with their 1-0 victory over Worcester on Saturday. Annalise Grammel scored the lone goal of the game. Earlier last week on Wednesday, they traveled to Ohio Wesleyan and tied 1-1. The Tigers will play in the semifinal round of the NCAC tournament on Thursday at Ohio Wesleyan at 7 p.m.
The men's soccer team played twice last week. On Tuesday, they traveled to Ohio Wesleyan and lost 2-4. However, their week turned around when they hosted Worcester on Saturday and won 3-0, earning them a spot in the NCAC tournament. Matthew Fogo scored a pair of goals in the victory, and Ethan Webster scored 1. They will kick off postseason play on Wednesday when they travel to Kenyon for a game set for 2:30 p.m.
DePauw women's field hockey won a hard-fought game in overtime 2-1 against Transylvania on Saturday. Prior to the game, they had already clinched 3rd place in the NCAC, which automatically advances them to postseason play. Haley Nowak and Ella Mickey each scored a goal in the Tigers' defeat over the Pioneers. They will travel Denison on Wednesday to play in the semifinal round of the NCAC tournament, with the game time slated for 5 p.m.
The volleyball team had a big week as they clinched the NCAC outright title on Saturday with a 3-0 sweep over Kenyon. Katie Gansel had 17 kills, and Olivia Carwin contributed 16 assists. The Tigers also played Tryon on Saturday and won 3-1. They are back in action on Saturday when they travel to Decatur, Illinois to play Hendricks and Milliken at 11 a.m. and 1:15 p.m. respectively.
The men's and women's cross-country teams competed in the NCAC championship meet over the weekend. The men's team placed 6th and were led by Bailey Scott's 4th place overall finish. That earned Scott first-team All-NCAC honors, and Jacob Kissling was a third-team honoree after placing 16th overall. The women's team placed 2nd and were within 3 points of winning the championship. Sophie Porter finished 4th overall, and Grace Thomas finished 7th. They each earned first-team All-NCAC honors. Thomas was also named the NCAC Newcomer of the Year. 6 other members of the women's cross-country team also earned All-NCAC honors. Both the men's and women's teams will return to competition on November 11th at the NCAA Regional in Norton, Ohio. The men's race is set to begin at 11 a.m., and the women are to follow at noon.
The men's swim team traveled to Bethel College on Saturday for a quad meet and finished with a 1-3 meet record and tallied 5 top 3 finishes. The women's swim team also went to Bethel College and went 2 for 3 in their quad meet. They collected 14 top 3 finishes. Both teams will be back in the pool on Saturday when they travel to face Kalamazoo College on Friday.
And that's it for Tiger Sports this week. Now it's time for Hot Topic, where we talk about something from the Tiger sports world or the greater sports world that we just can't stop thinking about. Katie, what do you got?
Okay, so for me, I want to talk about what happened last night in the Vikings game against Green Bay. The Vikings won, but they lost one of their biggest assets in Kirk Cousins. He had an injury to his lower left leg, and the MRI confirmed this morning that it was his Achilles tendon is torn. And so it's not a super positive thing I can't stop thinking about, but I can't stop thinking about it because in week 1, Aaron Rodgers suffered the same injury.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of reading about what was going on with Kirk Cousins, and it referenced this study that's been going on that they're trying to determine what's safer to play on, if that's artificial turf or natural grass. And this doctor from Stanford football did a study, and he's determining that grass is safer, but it's not been completely proven because it's super subjective.
Right.
So it depends on physical ability, age, weather, and so, you know, Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers are older quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And so you put a rookie quarterback in there in the same position, same field, same weather, same impact. Would he also tear his Achilles? So I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
But both of those injuries occurred on turf fields, right?
Yeah. Both fields. Yeah. And right now, the NFL, about 50% of the fields are turf and 50% grass. But both injuries were on turf. So kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's tough for the Vikings. They were having a good year, and let's hope they can keep that going. With the backup.
4-4. We'll see what happens. So what can you not stop thinking about?
I'll talk about Chicago Blackhawks rookie phenom Connor Bedard. He's been super hyped up by all the media. He's only 18 years old. A lot of people think he's the new Sidney Crosby of the league. He's had a good start to the year. 3 goals so far, 5 points in 8 games, and I think he looks really good out there. It's the team is not going to be a playoff contender, I don't think. So this first year is just about him getting used to the NHL, getting used to playing. So yeah,
that's impressive. 18's young to be on that big of a stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, that's good. Well, that's it for Tiger Sports this week. I'm your host, Katie Moore.
And I'm Henry Stribe, and as always,
Roll
Tigs.